welcome back everyone. This is Dark Science from Dark Science Reviews. I'm basically posting my current build for my Necromancer for a couple people that have already asked and messaged me. First things first, I'm level 48 as of now. My class isn't completely finished where I want it to be, but it's close enough to where like I'm okay with sharing it. Um, Obviously, when it comes to like where you put your points, it's basically really up to you. I put a lot of points into mana because you start using quite a bit of mana if you go the curse build, and I have one curse that I use quite a bit on all of the enemies to make it just a little bit easier. You end up spamming that curse button if you go curse summoner class. Vitality is very, very important so that you can at least take a hit or two to run away from the enemies, because a good majority of the attack is going to go towards your skeleton army and your summoned army. Dexterity takes up your attack rating. That's totally up to you, depending on how you want to put it. I think dexterity helps a little bit more than strength, but strength is needed for the armor and stuff like that as you level up. So you gotta kind of even it out just a little bit to put on better armor. That's not the really most important thing. Obviously, you can put these points wherever you want. It's not too important, but it is semi-important towards the end game. Eventually, you'll decide how you want to put the points and how useful it is for you. Next thing I'm gonna go over is what points I put in. So my goal is to put in 20 points into Skeletal Mastery, mostly because it does about 200% monster damage, and it has way more life. If you have about 7 skeletons out at the time, it's going to do some massive amounts of damage. So that's why I want my skeletons to kind of like have a hit and take a hit, you know what I mean? The other one is to obviously have raise skeleton to 20 also. I'm not gonna go too far into like what I have equipped, because what I have equipped is nowhere near what I want it to be yet. It's basically just junk that I have on right now that helps me take up my skills. But that'll be next. But 20 points to skeleton, mostly because of the defense and the damage that it does. And the attack rating goes up quite a bit. So this is why I said put your points in dexterity, because the attack rating gets disgusting. I didn't really want to put too many mage skeletons out there because they are the weakest, but they do kind of help in a distance in a pinch. It just depends on how you want to do it. You only really need 10 points into the revive. That's what my goal is for that. But notice I only have 7 points there for right now. Now, this is where it gets a little complicated. Obviously, you're going to want at least a point into summon resist, and golem mastery needs to go up quite a bit for me. But I'm focusing on one golem. You need to put 20 points into at least one of the golems. I decided on the clay golem, mostly because it does more damage, and the mana cost is really low in comparison to the other ones, and it's not as complicated as summoning the iron golem. The flame golem is pretty cool, but it's mostly like magic damage. Basically it's personal preference on the golems. You can put your points on whatever golem you find fit to you, or you can mess around with whichever one you want over time. But ultimately, you want to put in 20 points into at least one golem, because that's going to kind of cap him out to some degree. I didn't really mess around with the poison and bone quite yet. I haven't decided on what attack I want to stick with, because I use mostly this curse right here, which is amplified damage. You only really need 1 point into any of these skills. I would recommend, depending on how you want to deck yourself out, to have 1 skill point in all of these right here, like weaken and tear. Well, tear is not too important for me, but it helps in a pinch. It just depends on how you want to play your necro. Decrepify, obviously you amplify quite a bit of damage there too. And then you got the lower resistance, which is also good too. You lower the resistance magical damage, but that's mostly for like that's mostly for the mage and the magic attacks. It just depends on how you want to use it. Life tap works if you want to still life at the same time, but that's if you're going to be taking hits, if you're going to be going in there with poison and bone damage. So I didn't really put any life tap in there yet, or Iron Maiden. I'm sticking with basically just the Amplifier Curse. It only has an extra point because of what I have equipped, but you only really need 1 point in all of these. And it'll spam. You just spam it however you want. I have mine equipped to the right trigger. It just depends on how you want to use it. I don't really mess around with any of these because it doesn't really seem like anything good. So I wouldn't even bother with these unless you really wanted to. And as far as that, that's really basically what I'm aiming for. I almost have these two maxed out like I want. I almost have my golem halfway there, and I only need a couple more points in my revive. I get to summon 7 monsters in total with a golem. Then you have your pyre. I usually use the one from, I believe not the last one, but I think from the third area, which is the guy who launches off like freeze. He is basically, he doesn't really use the sword and shield. He just mostly launches out magic attacks. The only problem with this is that like the ice blast tends to kill a lot of the enemies pretty quickly unless they're special enemies. So you gotta get your skeletal army every time you start up a game. Obviously, that's the main thing. But once you get your skeleton army up, you're basically set. And as far as what I have equipped, I have the Necromancer +1 to all skills. I could have went the +2 to skeleton. It just depends on what you want to go with. If I had something better, I would replace it in an instant. Another one I have right here is raise 1 to skeleton, 1 to skeletal mastery, and 3 to bone armor. That's kind of like 3 skills right there. The extra add-ons don't really matter, but if you can find something more powerful, the armor is basically trash for me right now. So it's not really anything. I have resistances up +17 because you need to have some kind of resistance in nightmare mode because they just kind of destroy you. And then there's the helmet. Doesn't matter. It's basically junk. I'm waiting to replace this helmet as soon as I can. And I believe the armor is also junk. Also, it's just for defense to take a hit. If I find something better, I'm just gonna toss that off. And the rings right now, I only have magic find on one of them. And I believe magic find on my boots, so they're not important. It's just that I'm farming on Duriel right now, and I need that magical item chance increased quite a bit, so that helps a bit. And obviously, you could always use some really good charms. I would go with the smaller ones because these bigger ones really suck, in my opinion, unless they have really good stuff. +6 to dexterity or +6 to any kind of skill is just garbage in my opinion. It just depends on what you're out for. Maybe you just you like the charm a little bit more. I don't have any socketed items quite yet that I can put on here, but I am looking for better items. The belt I found farming on Duriel is pretty cool, but I would replace it if it had magic find on it. Basically everything's magic find right now, so it's not really important, but basically, anything that has Necromancer plus skills you want to kind of add. It's going to take a while to get those, so it's a very patient class, I would say. This is just what I'm going with. I haven't had any trouble playing with my Necromancer, and he's been doing really good. I could kind of just sit back and have my army kind of take care of everything. It doesn't really, nothing really affects me anymore. And that's just on Nightmare. Anyhow, hopefully, you know, this kind of gives you direction. This is just a, you know, my own personal preference and taste. I don't know where I'm gonna end up putting my last skills after I max out what I want to max out, because I don't have too many more levels to pump in here. So I'll have a couple extra points to do with whatever I want. Um, Most people go with Corpse Explosion. I don't like it. I know that like it's a really good skill. I really don't like the skill too much. But it's totally up to you if you want to go with an attack too. So this way you can do some kind of damage. But note that like you're gonna need that mana. If you're gonna go summoner class, you're gonna kind of need that mana for summoning, because there is a timer to your revive, and you will need in a pinch to revive another skeleton or two, or your golem the most, if you don't have it at the correct levels. Obviously, during bosses, it's not too bad if you have so many things attacking it, but definitely go with the amplified damage curse. That should probably be the first skill point you put in right after you get a skeleton. Just make sure you have this one curse, and the rest of the curses just, you know, put 1 point into. It's not really anything that you need to put multiple points into, because it only takes up the radius. So yeah, it's not really that important. It's basically up to you what you want to do with your points. This is just kind of a reference of my class. Anyhow, hopefully this helps out some first-time necromancers that want to go summoner. I went summoner. I really like to summon, you know, like I like the whole map to be filled with an army, so I think it's pretty cool. But you know, it just depends on what you want to roll with. Also, I'm not telling you to go this route, but if you decide to go this route, good luck. And I think it's really cool. You might like it quite a bit as well if you like to just kind of sit back and watch your minions just destroy the whole land for you. Anyhow, once again, thank you all for watching. Hopefully this kind of helped you out. Maybe I'll put another guide up with the finish. This is definitely one of the main classes I'm going to be taking up to level 99. I'm going to stick with this one until 99, so he's going to be quite a beast. Anyhow, happy gaming, and thank you all for watching. If anybody else has any other, you know, classes that they want to post on their necromancers, feel free to help out all the newbies here, man. That's a lot of people are barely starting off with first-time necros, or they've never played Diablo 2, and they could really use a lot of help from the community. So good luck, everybody, and thanks ahead of time if you do, you know, help out a couple of the freshens, you know, the fresh ones that are straight out of Diablo 3 and not 2. Happy gaming, everyone, and thank you all for watching.